What scared me most wasn't what he did. It was how long he'd already been there. Watching. Waiting. This happened to me on December 18th, 2020, in Portland, Oregon, and it's the reason I'll never buy a real Christmas tree again. I was 28 that winter, working evenings at a pop-up Christmas tree lot in southeast Portland. The lot was temporary, just a fenced-off corner of a strip mall parking lot that stayed empty most of the year. Every November, the same company would show up, unload hundreds of trees, set up a small trailer office, and hire seasonal workers to sell trees until Christmas Eve. The pay was terrible, but it was easy work. I'd been furloughed from my restaurant job during the pandemic, and standing outside in the cold selling trees was better than burning through my savings. Plus, the shift was only 6 hours, 3 p.m. to 9 p.m., which meant I could sleep in and still have part of my morning. The lot itself was maybe half an acre, surrounded by chain-link fence with Christmas lights strung along the top. We had about 200 trees arranged in rows by size and type: Douglas firs, noble firs, a few scraggly pines that nobody ever wanted. In the center was the trailer office, barely bigger than a shed, with a space heater that barely worked and a cash register that jammed constantly. I usually worked alone after 7 p.m. My coworker Danny would leave early. He had a second job at a warehouse, and I'd handle the last 2 hours by myself. It was fine. The lot was well lit. There was a 7-Eleven across the street, and most late customers were just people grabbing a tree on their way home from work. December 18th was a Friday. Cold and damp, typical Portland winter weather, with that persistent mist that wasn't quite rain but soaked through everything anyway. I'd sold maybe 6 trees all evening. By 7:30, when Danny left, the lot was completely empty. I retreated to the trailer office, turning up the space heater and scrolling through my phone. Outside, the Christmas lights cast red and green shadow across the rows of trees. The lot was quiet except for the occasional car passing on the street and the hum of the lights overhead. At 8:17 p.m., I heard the gate open. I looked up from my phone. A man was walking into the lot, hands in his jacket pockets, looking at the trees. He was maybe 40, average height, wearing a dark jacket and jeans. Nothing remarkable about him. He moved slowly down the first row, pausing occasionally to examine a tree more closely. I gave him a few minutes. People like to browse without being bothered, then stepped out of the trailer. Evening. Let me know if you need any help finding the right tree. He didn't respond. Didn't even look at me. Just kept walking, running his hand along the branches of a noble fir. Some customers were like that. Wanted to be left alone. I went back to the trailer, keeping an eye on him through the window. He spent a long time with that noble fir, just standing there touching the branches, staring at it. Maybe 10 minutes. Then he moved to the next tree and did the same thing. By 8:45, he still hadn't picked a tree or approached the register. He was on the third row now, near the back of the lot where the biggest trees were kept. The mist had gotten heavier, creating halos around the Christmas lights. I checked my watch. 15 minutes until closing. I'd give him until 9, then politely kick him out whether he bought anything or not. At 8:52, I realized I couldn't see him anymore. I stood up from the trailer desk, pressing my face against the window. The rows of trees stretched out before me, their dark green shapes blending together in the inadequate lighting. I could see the entire lot from here, or at least I should have been able to. But I couldn't see the man. I stepped outside, the cold mist immediately settling on my face. "Sir, we're closing in a few minutes." No response. I walked down the first row, checking between the trees. Nobody. Second row, same thing. The lot wasn't that big, There was nowhere to hide. Unless he was crouching behind one of the larger trees, but why would he do that? "Sir, are you still here?" The only sound was the hum of the lights and the distant traffic on the main road. Maybe he'd left while I was looking at my phone. The gate was still open. I always left it open during business hours. He could have walked out and I'd missed it. I returned to the trailer, ready to close up early. Better to lose one potential sale than stand around in the cold for nothing. That's when I saw him. He was standing at the far back corner of the lot, partially hidden by a massive Douglas fir that hadn't sold because it was too tall for most living rooms. He was facing away from me, perfectly still, his hands at his sides. Just standing there, not looking at trees, not moving, just standing in the shadows at the edge of the lot. "Sir, we're closed. You need to leave." He didn't move. I felt the first flutter of unease in my chest. This wasn't normal browsing behavior. This was something else. I pulled out my phone, ready to call Danny or maybe the non-emergency police line, when the man finally moved. He turned around, and even from 50 feet away, I could see he was smiling. Not a friendly smile. Something else. Something that made my stomach tighten. He started walking toward me. Not fast, but purposeful. His hands still in his pockets, that smile still on his face. I backed toward the trailer. "We're closed. You need to leave right now." He kept coming. Past the big trees, into the rows of medium ones, getting closer. I could see his face more clearly now under the Christmas lights. His eyes were wide, unblinking. That smile stretched too far across his face. I said, "We're closed." My voice came out higher than I intended. 20 feet away now. 15. I reached behind me for the trailer door handle, my heart hammering. The logical part of my brain was scrambling for explanations. Maybe he was drunk. Maybe he was having a mental health crisis. Maybe he was just socially awkward and didn't understand personal space. But every instinct I was screaming danger. 10 feet away. I yanked open the trailer door and stepped inside, slamming it shut. There was no lock on the inside, just a simple latch that could be opened from outside. I grabbed the desk chair and wedged it under the handle. Through the window, I watched him stop right in front of the trailer. He stood there, hands still in his pockets, still smiling, looking directly at me through the glass. We stared at each other for what felt like an hour, but was probably 30 seconds. Then he raised one hand and waved. A slow, deliberate wave. Like he knew me. My phone was in my hand, 911 already dialed, my thumb hovering over the call button. But what would I say? A customer was standing in the lot. He hadn't threatened me. Hadn't said anything at all. He was just there, being creepy. Would the police even come for that? The man tilted his head, still looking at me. Then he turned and walked back toward the trees. I watched him disappear into the rows, the darkness swallowing him. I waited, counting my breaths, trying to calm down. 1 minute. 2 minutes. The lot appeared empty again. Maybe he'd finally left. Maybe that wave had been his weird way of saying goodbye. I checked the time, 9:04 p.m. Past closing. I needed to shut down the register, turn off the lights, lock the gate, and get the hell out of here. But that meant leaving the trailer, going out there where he might still be. I pulled out my phone and called Danny. "Hey, what's up?" His voice was casual, relaxed. I could hear warehouse sounds in the background. "Danny, there's a guy here who won't leave. Can you come back?" "What do you mean won't leave? He's been here for almost an hour. He's not looking at trees, he's just..." standing around, acting weird. I asked him to leave and he just stared at me. Is he still there? I don't know. I can't see him right now, but I haven't seen him leave either. Danny was quiet for a moment. Call the cops if you're worried. I'm all the way across town. It'll take me like 45 minutes to get there. I know Look, he probably left already. Just shut everything down and take off. If you see him again, call 911. Don't try to be a hero. He was right. I was probably overreacting. The guy was weird, but weird wasn't dangerous. Portland had plenty of weird people, especially downtown. Most of them were harmless. Okay. Thanks, be safe. Text me when you're home. I hung up and looked out the window again. The lot was still. The trees swayed gently in the wind that had picked up, making their shadows dance across the ground. I needed to be smart about this. I'd leave the trailer, walk straight to the main gate, lock it, then go to my car. If I saw the man again, I'd run to the 7-Eleven and call the police from there. Simple, quick, safe. I removed the chair from under the door handle and stepped outside. The cold hit me immediately, colder than before. The mist had turned into light rain. I could hear it pattering on the trees, on the trailer roof, on the asphalt. I walked quickly toward the gate, my keys already in my hand. I didn't look at the trees, didn't check the rows, just focused on the gate 30 feet ahead. I was halfway there when I heard it. Humming. Someone was humming "Oh Holy Night." The sound was coming from my left, from somewhere in the tree rows. I stopped walking, my whole body tensing. The humming continued, moving slowly through the lot. Getting closer. I could track it by sound. He was in the third row, moving parallel to me, matching my pace. I started walking faster. The gate was right there, just 20 feet now. The humming got louder. He was moving faster too, cutting through the rows, trying to reach the gate before I did. I broke into a run. I reached the gate just as he emerged from the trees to my right. We were maybe 10 feet apart, close enough that I could see his face clearly under the lights. He'd stopped smiling. Now his expression was blank. Empty. Those wide eyes staring at me with an intensity that made my skin crawl. What do you want? I demanded, trying to keep my voice steady. He didn't answer, just took a step toward me. I grabbed the gate and swung it closed, fumbling with the padlock. My hands were shaking so badly, I could barely get the key in. He took another step, then another. The key slid home. I twisted it, heard the lock click. The chain-link gate was between us now. He stopped on his side, maybe 3 feet away, and wrapped his fingers around the fence. We stood there, separated by metal mesh, staring at each other. I've been watching you, he said. His voice was quiet, conversational, like we were old friends catching up. My blood turned to ice. What, every night this week? I've been watching you close up. You're always alone after 7. My mind raced back through the previous nights. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, had I seen him? Had he been there, hiding in the trees, watching me? Tonight I almost came earlier, he continued, still in that casual tone. But I wanted to wait until you were alone. More private that way. I backed away from the fence, my phone already out. Stay away from me. I'm calling the police. I brought you something. He reached into his jacket pocket. I ran. I didn't wait to see what he was pulling out. Didn't stay to see if he'd climbed the fence. I just ran across the parking lot toward my car, my keys jingling in my hand, my breath coming in gasps. Behind me, I heard rattling. He was climbing the fence. My car was at the far end of the parking lot, maybe 100 feet away. I could see it under the streetlight, my old Honda Civic with the dented bumper. The rattling stopped. He was over the fence. I could hear his footsteps on the asphalt. Running now. Getting closer. 50 feet to my car. 40. I pressed the unlock button on my key fob. The car's lights flashed, the locks clicking open. 30 feet. His footsteps were right behind me. So close I could hear his breathing. 20 feet. I wasn't going to make it. He was too close, too fast. I changed direction suddenly, cutting left toward the 7-Eleven. The store's lights were bright across the parking lot, the windows glowing with fluorescent warmth. The maneuver caught him off guard. I heard him stumble, curse under his breath. I sprinted for the store, my lungs burning, my legs screaming. The automatic doors opened. I burst inside, nearly colliding with a customer leaving. The clerk behind the counter looked up, startled. "You okay?" I spun around, looking out through the glass doors. The man was standing in the parking lot, maybe 30 feet away. Just standing there under the streetlight, staring at the store. Staring at me. "Call the police," I gasped. "There's a man following me." He was at the tree lot. He climbed the fence. "He's right there." The clerk, a young guy, maybe 20, pulled out his phone. "Where?" I pointed through the window. The parking lot was empty. The man was gone. The police arrived 12 minutes later. 2 officers, a man and a woman, both looking tired and skeptical. They took my statement in the 7-Eleven, asking the same questions multiple times in slightly different ways. What did he look like? Average height, dark jacket, jeans. 40-ish. Brown hair, I think. What did he say exactly? That he'd been watching me all week. That he'd been waiting until I was alone. Did he threaten you? Not explicitly, but he climbed the fence to chase me. Did he have a weapon? I didn't see one. He reached into his pocket, but I ran before he pulled anything out. The female officer walked around the parking lot with a flashlight, while the male officer checked the tree lot. The gate was still locked. The trailer was undisturbed. No sign of anyone hiding among the trees. The 7-Eleven security camera, they told me, showed me running into the store. But the angle didn't cover the parking lot well enough to show anyone chasing me. Just me, running alone, looking terrified. "Are you sure someone was following you?" the male officer asked. Not unkindly, but with that tone that suggested he thought I might be mistaken. "Yes. He told me he'd been watching me all week, but you never saw him before tonight." "No, but that doesn't mean he wasn't there. He could have been hiding in the trees." They exchanged a glance. The kind of glance that said they dealt with plenty of paranoid people having mental health episodes. "We'll increase patrols in the area," the female officer said. "And we'll file a report. But without video evidence or witnesses, there's not much we can do. He didn't assault you, didn't steal anything, didn't make specific threats. He chased me. You said you ran before he could approach you. So technically, you don't know what his intentions were." They gave me a case number, suggested I not work alone anymore, and left. I sat in the 7-Eleven until midnight, drinking coffee, watching the parking lot through the window. The clerk let me stay without complaint. I think he felt bad for me. Finally, around 12:30 a.m., another employee arrived for the overnight shift. I asked if he'd walk me to my car. "Sure, no problem." We crossed the parking lot together, my hand on my pepper spray, my heart racing. My car was right where I'd left it. I walked around it twice, checking the back seat, looking underneath. Nothing. "You good?" the 7-Eleven employee asked. "Yeah." Thank you, I got in, locked the doors immediately and drove home. I checked my rearview mirror constantly, paranoid that every pair of headlights behind me belonged to him. I made it home safely, parked in my building's garage, took the elevator up to my apartment, locked my door and engaged the deadbolt and chain. Only then did I start to breathe normally. I was safe. I was home. It was over. I changed into pajamas, climbed into bed, set my alarm for tomorrow. I'd have to go back to the lot for my shift, but I'd call the manager first thing in the morning. Tell them I needed someone to work with me for the rest of the season. No more solo shifts. I was almost asleep when my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You forgot to turn off the Christmas lights at the lot. My entire body went cold. Another text appeared, don't worry. I turned them off for you. Then, I have a key now and finally see you tomorrow night. I didn't sleep. I sat up in bed with my lights on, my pepper spray on my nightstand, and 911 ready to dial on my phone. At 6 a.m., I called the lot manager and quit. Didn't explain, didn't give notice. Just said I couldn't work there anymore and hung up. At 9 a.m., I called the police again. Showed them the texts. They tried to trace the number. It was from a burner phone, untraceable. They went to the tree lot. The gate was unlocked. The trailer door was open. Nothing was stolen, but someone had been inside. The space heater was turned off. The cash register was closed properly. And the Christmas lights around the fence were turned off. Just like he'd said. The security company that owned the lot changed the locks and installed cameras. I filed a restraining order, but you need a name and address for that. Unknown man, approximately 40 years old, wasn't enough. For the rest of December, I lived in a state of constant fear. I couldn't go to work, I'd quit. Couldn't leave my apartment except for necessities. I had my locks changed. Bought a Ring doorbell. Started staying with friends on rotation, never sleeping in the same place 2 nights in a row. The texts continued, never threatening explicitly, but deeply unsettling. I saw you at the grocery store today. You look tired. That's a nice apartment your friend has. 3rd floor, right? You should sleep more. You look unwell. The police couldn't do anything. He was careful never to make explicit threats, never to show himself on camera, never to leave evidence. On Christmas Eve, I received a final text, don't worry. I got my tree somewhere else this year. Merry Christmas. The text stopped after that. But 2 weeks later, I got a package. No return address, just my name and apartment number. Inside was a photograph, a Polaroid old school. It showed me at the tree lot, working at the register, counting money, completely unaware I was being photographed. On the back, written in careful handwriting, you look so peaceful when you don't know you're being watched. I moved to Seattle 3 weeks later. New city, new job, new apartment. I don't tell people where I work anymore. I don't have social media. I change my phone number every 6 months. And I've never worked retail again. Never worked anywhere that requires me to be alone at night, accessible to the public, visible from the street. Because I learned something that winter in Portland. Sometimes the scariest people don't wear masks or carry weapons. Sometimes they just smile at you. And watch. And wait. And you never know they're there until it's almost too late. I still have that Polaroid. I keep it in a safe deposit box, along with the police reports and the printed text messages. Just in case he finds me again. Just in case I need to prove I'm not paranoid. That someone really was watching. Someone who might still be.
We made it out of this one, but the darkness runs deep. If you think you can handle it, Check out the other cases on the channel. Don't risk losing the signal. Like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. The next investigation is starting now.